Financial success is not about how much you make, it's about what you can keep. Most people think that if you make a lot of money, you are going to be financial success. And this is not always true. Yes, if you make more money, maybe it's going to be to be easier for you to save. But you need to consider that what you have to have is the ability, the capability of saving, the capability of spending less than you make. In most cases, what happens is exactly the opposite. What happens is that you spend more than you make. That's why you spend with credit cards and in other expenses that you don't buy it cash flow. You know, my ex mother in law here in Brazil, she is someone, she is a retiree, and she doesn't make a lot of money, but she is a big saver. She enjoys to save. She enjoys to live with little. And here is the thing, she owns three houses. Both of them are rented. So she makes little because she the only thing that she receives uh, alongside with the renting is the financial support of the government, her retirement. So once in one of these three houses that she owns, I was fixing the roof. The roof was very old, more than 30 years old, and I was renovating it because I work with construction. And I was doing it with my money because I was married with her daughter and was doing it because of this. But as I knew my ex mother in law very well, I told my ex wife, who at that moment was my wife, I told her, oh, just wait. Your mother is going to give us a pack of money to renovate the roof, her roof. And then I continued doing the work. And within a few more days, she came up to talk to me and she said something like this: oh, son, are you fixing the roof? Everything there is okay? And I told her, yes. And then she asked me, how much are you going to spend there? I remember the number. I told her around 20,000, 20,000 reais, the money of Brazil at the moment. And she just told me, oh, I'd like to help you. I don't have much, but I will give you this. And then she handed me 80,000 reais, which for her was a very good amount of money. And I know that that money wasn't the entire money that she had at the time. But she understood that I was doing something for her daughter, for herself, because I was her daughter's husband, and then she helped. But you see, she had this capability of spending less than she makes, even though she makes not a huge amount of money. So, this is the first insight. The second one is this: you are going to need to separate what is income from what is actually wealth. Why is this? Because generally we live with our incomes. We receive what we receive every month, and if you look at it, it's a cycle. You receive, then you start to spend, pay your bills, do everything that you need to do, then you receive again. But this is not wealth. This is just your income. You are not able, for example, to stay out of work for any time because you are going to stop to receive your income. So, to be financial success, you need to be able to build wealth, which means that you need to be able to save every month, which links with the last insight. But this insight here is very important. For example, let's say that someone makes 5,000 per month and he needs 2,000 to live. But he spends actually not 2,000 but 3,000. So he makes 5,000, he needs 2,000, he spends 3,000 instead of 2 because he wants to please himself, go to restaurants, do lots of different things. But he saves 2,000. So you see, for each month that he saves 2,000, it is like if he is buying a month of safety in the future, a month that if he needs, he can stop working. So you need to think about this. I like to think about this in terms of months. How many months I have saved. So when you build wealth, this is what this really means. That you are going to have this amount of months of savings and of safety. It's not about stop working. There are people who defend that everybody should retire at age 60 or something like this, or 55, or even earlier. There is the movement FIRE, all right? But the thing is, it's something very different. You work because you need, from you working because you want. For example, in my case, I work with construction, building for renting, and selling. All right, now, after I finish my last construction, that is a house that I built to sell, I wasn't able to sell it. This was 1 year ago. And I wouldn't like to sell it for a low price because it is in a very good neighborhood and it's a very good house, a very big house with a pool and everything. This in Brazil is not common. It's not as common as in US. All right. So I didn't sell it because I didn't receive any good offers. Here in Brazil right now, the interest rates are too high. So it makes harder to sell. So for this 1 year, I'm not building. You understand that? That's the difference. I'm not building because I'm doing the right thing, what I believe to be the right thing, which is selling the house for the right price. And how can I be not building? Because I receive rents. So I can't afford to not be working for this period. It's okay with me. But as soon as I sell the house, I'm going to start building again because this is what I like to do. This is what I want to do. But this is not what I need to do. This is the difference. You see that? So, this is the second insight. You need to differentiate what is wealth from what is just your income. And the third and last one is this: you need to remove ego from your decisions. For a very long time, I thought that I would be able to outsmart the market, really to beat the market. But with time, reading about investments, I understood that the best way to beat the market is to look for safety, to look to protect yourself, not to look to be smart, not to do things like day trading, swing trading, stock picking, and other things that are going to put your portfolio in danger. What you need to do is to be very safe in your decisions. And do not think that you are able to outsmart the market. You need to think about protecting yourself. So, you need to be intellectual, humble. If you think that the market is huge, you are going to try to find opportunities, strategies, but in a smart way. For example, for me, I have a very specific rule when it comes to selling my real estate, which is this: I only sell if with the money I am able to build two real estate properties of the same value. So, for example, if I'm selling something for 100,000, with that 100,000, I should be able to build two properties that are going to value 100,000 each. I have some flexibility in this rule. In this way, my lower number that I'm going to sell, if I'm able to build two properties that are going to value one and a half the price of the first property, the one that I sold. If I'm not able to build at least 1.5 times what I'm selling, then I do not sell. So you see, simple rules, and they guide you through your life. So, just to check everything here: first rule, being able to spend less than you make. Second rule, differentiate between income and wealth. And third, don't think that you are able to outsmart or beat the market. All right, my friends, this is all that I have for you today. Thank you all that are watching and subscribing. Let me know in the comments what you think about this subject, and I see you in the next video.